What's going on, guys? Welcome to 31 Days of Horror. I am Morgan Film Fan. Let's jump into some scares. The Final Destination, which is the fourth film in the franchise, is funny enough the only one that I had never seen before. I've seen 1 to 3 and 5, but not this one. This one is the one that apparently everybody shits on the most. It's the only one that's also in 3D. Now, I don't have a 3D player and I don't have a 3D TV, so I just watched this in regular standard 2D, I guess you could say. And it was interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say lukewarm on the Final Destination films because I do find them interesting. I find the concept of the whole death chasing people and the creative kills and all of them really interesting. But the biggest complaint I heard about this one is how horrendous the CGI is and how cheesy the CGI is, basically, and how, like, basically unrealistic everything is, and the plot's weaker and all that stuff. I really didn't see much difference in this one compared to the others. I mean, the one I watched most recently before this one was the third, and when it comes to CGI, I mean, I see absolutely no difference. The third is loaded with CGI. It's ridiculous. So I didn't see anything, less quality in this one, unless they're referring specifically to the 3D and the 3D effects, and that's what they mean by them not looking realistic at all, then maybe. But it still was a fun film. So this one, the whole premonition at the beginning, because all of them obviously follow the same formula. The premonition in this one is at a racetrack, which I found pretty cool. And the way they designed the whole accident and the premonition was neat. It's a good choice to have it at a racetrack. And I also found it cool. I don't recall this happening too much in the other films, but the main character, Nick, constantly has premonitions throughout the whole film. The main one at the beginning, and then real small sequences of flashes of random things, like a coin flying or like a screw flying one way, or a sign, like a little snake sign or something like that. That gives them the idea that somebody else is going to die. Now, excuse me if I'm mistaken and they did that in the other films, but I don't recall. That's one thing I liked that he was doing in this film. There is this character named Hut who, straight from the get-go, I couldn't stand. He is outrageously, horrendously awful. When he gets saved, he does not give a shit about Nick's premonition or the fact that Nick basically saved him by getting him out of that racetrack. And he keeps thanking his lucky coin. He has this lucky coin, and that's the only thing that he considers, his savior. And it's like, he gives Nick no credit. He just keeps... Oh, this guy pisses me off so much. Most awful human in a movie I've seen in a while, especially in the Final Destination franchise. And I was just waiting for him to get his horrendous death, and trust me, he did. I liked his pool death, and I liked how he died in kind of like that urban legend where, well, I don't know if it's an urban legend or if it's actually possible, but where the drain at the bottom of the pool can like suck your intestines out of your body. It was pretty disgusting, but it was gnarly, but it was pretty awesome. I love the death of the racist guy where he gets caught in the chain of his pickup truck where he like the ball and chain or whatever that drags him on the road and lights him completely on fire as it drags him down. Amazing death for his character too, who plays such an awful piece of shit. Laurie and Nick are also two good characters, and at the end, during the movie theater scene, another thing that I found interesting is their combined premonitions. So Nick started to have his own premonition at the end, or she started to have her own premonition in the theater, and then it kind of combined with his. So I liked how they did that a lot. The car wash death scene was great. I love how there's moments where you think that it would be pretty easy for the person to escape from whatever situation they were, like the woman from the car roof. Like, you would think that she could just crawl out, but then her seatbelt gets stuck, and as soon as she gets the opportunity to try and crawl out, the space in the sunroof is so tiny, and since the sunroof is malfunctioning, it keeps opening and closing. So I like how it gets her head stuck, and then she ends up being saved, of course. But it was pretty cool how they trick you in thinking that the person can escape from whatever situation they're in, but then it turns out they can't. So and the ending was weaker when it comes to the final twist, the final shocker, like where you think everybody is safe, but then it turns out they're not. In the other films, they usually played that out a lot more clever, but in this one, they kind of rushed it, I found. So when it comes to an ending of a Final Destination film, I think this one definitely takes the cake for the weakest one, but it doesn't hurt the film so bad. One of my favorite characters, hands down, other than Laurie, who's a beautiful girl, is George. George is an awesome, in-depth character. He's given so much heart and so much backstory, and you care about him a lot. So when he does perish, unfortunately, you actually feel for him. You feel a lot for him, and they give him a lot. Like they give him a big character. Basically, they give him a lot of story and depth, which I like. And he's just such a great guy, and he pushes the story forward a lot too. He actually has one of the funny scenes too, darkly funny, but funny, when he's trying to kill himself. And he can't because it's not his time, and he's like, I just swallowed a whole bottle of pills, and then I just ended up barfing them all up. I went to the garage, and I put a hose in the car, and it just kept stalling. And then he had just tried to hang himself, and then he's like, and then this. And it's just so dark, but it's hilarious at the same time. The way he was delivering it, it made me laugh. But and Laurie and Nick are two good leads, I would say. So having Laurie, Nick, and George kind of lead the show was really cool for a movie like this. I like how they played "Devour" by Shinedown, because I used to love that song and play it all the time. So having them open the film up with that song was pretty cool. The mechanic death was gnarly when he gets thrown across at the fence. That would have been cool to see in 3D. He's just like, he gets like basically like meshed on the fence, I guess, and then the pieces of him start falling through like the squares on the fence, and then you can see the mechanic through his body. Like you can see the shop, I mean, through his body. So that was pretty nasty. Overall, I don't think it's a bad Final Destination film. Maybe weaker in a lot of spots and a lot of aspects than the other films, especially the end. I think the end would take the cake for the weakest part. But it's a Final Destination film, and it has a bunch of creative kills, just like the rest of the films have a bunch of creative kills. So there's not much to complain about this one. I think a lot of people are a little bit too harsh on this one, especially if they like Final Destination. Like, if you don't like the concept of the movies, then you're not going to like this one. But if you like the other films, there's not much not to like in this one either. It delivers the goods just like the other ones deliver the goods. So that's what I got on that. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon. Stay tuned for that, and check out what's on the channel already. And until next one, take care and cheers.